Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to create some pads for a techno song, and I did have posted a video a couple of weeks back showing you guys how to create drums for a techno song, and this video is basically the same concept where I show you how you can create a specific instrument in your music composition. So today we're going to do pads for a techno song. We have quite a lot of work to do, so let's dig into an Ableton live session and let's start it up. Alright guys, so first of all, what do we use pads for? Well, in electronic music we use pads to cover the gap between the groove of the song and the lead, which can be either a vocal or a different other instrument. And most of the sounds in electronic music are going to have a fast attack. They're going to be really percussive to create that hype, to create that energy. But the pads are actually going to have a slow attack and a slow release, which means that our pads will going to have to evolve over time in order to be interesting, because if we have a sound that is longer and it doesn't evolve, doesn't have any movement, our ears will just be bored. Now let's go into my Ableton live session, and I already have a drum loop going on. Let's see how it sounds. It's nothing interesting, it's just a 4 to the floor drum loop. Alright, and on top of that I'm going to add a pad, and I have a couple of MIDI notes that I put on here, and let's add my synthesizer. Let's add Serum. We're going to use Serum to create this pad. So now let's see how the pad sounds together with the drum loop, and it sounds like this. It's really boring. The note is pretty much constant. It doesn't evolve over sound. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to increase the attack and the sustain stage along with the decay. All right, now let's see how that sounds. Next, I also want to take advantage of the release function, but while looking at my notes, I can see that the MIDI have no gap in between them, which means that the release function will not be useful for us. What we want to do is we want to have a gap in between the MIDI notes so that I can take advantage of my release function. And we're just going to do, let's do half. Okay, let's do halves. Let's see how I will change the release as well. We're going to give them a long, nice, long, a little bit convex release. Okay, let's see. Alright, next I'm going to take a look at my oscillator. Let's see what shapes we have. So right now I have a saw wave, but the main three shapes that we can use in creating pads are saw, triangle, and square, because we want pads to have a lot of harmonic content, because later on we're going to use a filter. So when we use filters, we want to give the filter something to work with. We want our pads to have rich harmonic content, so that when the filter sweeps, then you will actually hear the filter cutting off and adding frequencies. So this is why we use those waveforms, and I don't really like this one, but before I want to add more voices to it, and let's see how it sounds now. Okay, so let's go to my basic shapes and let's see. This is a sine wave. Linear there. We can use this one because it has a little bit of mellow sound to it. Okay, so we have our first oscillator. Now let's add the second oscillator, but I want to detune it. I want to give it a basic shape as well. So let's use the square. Let's see how this one sounds. A little bit less volume. Let's go 4 voices. Let's see how it sounds now. You see, it adds the sizzle, it adds way more harmonics than what we used to have. Now, I actually added a Q3 so you can have a look at the frequencies as well. Has a lot of harmonics added here, top end harmonics. Maybe just 2 voices. Okay, so next we're going to move on, but before we move on to the filter, I also want to add another variable to my second oscillator. So in Serum and in most of our synthesizers, we have the option to add the modulation to the parameters of the oscillators. So what I want to do is I want to add an LFO to oscillator B's pitch. So I want the pitch of the oscillator to change over time. I don't want it to remain constant. Let's see how we can achieve that. We're going to use LFO1 for that. So we assign the LFO to the pitch function. LFOs also have their own envelope because as we said, LFO is a function that modifies the sound over time. So we can actually control how it will modify the sound. In this particular case, I want oscillator B to start in the lower pitch, move to a higher pitch, and then go to a lower pitch again. Let's see how we can achieve this. Well, this is too fast, so I'm going to change the I think I need to change the oscillator because it gives me way too much high-end harmonics. And maybe my shape is not the best one. Let's use I'm going to use this gunshot. It's kind of interesting. is the other one? Let's use. It's all up to what sound one you want to create, and honestly I'm not sure what sound I want to create. So I have my two oscillators, oscillator A and oscillator B. I have a LFO modifying my pitch for oscillator B. We did the envelopes, so we have a slow attacks, slow release for a slow attack and a long release for both oscillators. Next we're going to add filters, which is a really important part to our pad. Okay, resonance. The resonance is actually really important because this is how you can actually accentuate the filter. So the resonance is actually adding a boost to the zone where the filter starts to roll off or to cut frequencies. And again, if you want to accentuate the filter a little bit more, then you can add a little bit more resonance. You can also have a look here and see exactly what the resonance does. You can see this bump in the frequencies. Now for the filters, we want to also have them evolve over time, because as we said, if the sound is static, if there's no movement to it, your ears will get bored really quick, even if the pad is not up front. So we need to add modifiers to the filter as well. We're going to add LFO on the filter cutoff frequency. So basically this will tell the filter cutoff to move over time. And again, I have an envelope for the LFO as well. And we're going to see how it sounds, and then we're going to create the sound we want. Again, I don't want it to move for quarter notes, I want it to move on the whole note. Alright, so I'm going to change the envelope of the LFO. I'm going to use, I want the filter to open and stay open for the whole duration. I don't want it to go back. I want it to stay open for the whole duration. Let's see how that sounds. Let's use the ramp up. I'm actually listening to the MIDI notes, see if the notes hits where they should be, because I think the filters, see this one, I think that this note is a little bit too low, so let's change it. What was that? Which one was that? It was the D. Okay, I'm going to play with the notes a little bit here because I don't like hard sounds. So I changed the LFO envelope so that you can hear the filter close and then open back up. So that creates the wow effect. Okay, now we can add a little bit more of movement to our pad by using effects. And again, our effects have to evolve over time. We do not want to add any effects that are static. So let's see what Serum is offering us. We have hyper, distortion, flanger. We can use flanger. Delay. We could use delay and reverb. The other ones, and we have another filter that we can use, but I'm not sure we want to use that one. Also, a little bit of distortion would help, but let's start with the reverb. Now, when we talk about reverb, we see that Serum offers us two options. We have the plate and the hole. So we have the plate reverb, where the image is modified in a two-dimensional environment. Basically, you have the left and the right, you have the stereo field that you need to think about. And we also have the hole reverb, which adds the third dimension, which is the depth of the sound. Let's add the plate. That's like a spring reverb. I want to add a little bit of distortion before this guy actually. So let's switch this off. Okay, that sounds a little bit better. Now let's go back to add on the reverb. Okay. Okay, and let's try the flanger as well. So I'm going to have the flanger rate be affected by the BPM as opposed to the LFO frequency. Basically, the flanger acts like another LFO. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm basically modifying the envelope of the flanger. So I'm telling the depth to which the peaks and the troughs are and how much feedback I want it to add. Let's add distortion after the flanger. Okay, so we can also add a gating effect to the pad, which means that the hit of the drums will close the gate and the pad will basically have a pump effect. Now let's try to add that. Let's see how we can achieve that. So we can basically do that within the Serum, within the synthesizer, or we can try to add an external effect to it. Now, what is the gating effect? Basically, a gate has two parameters, opened and closed, if we look at it in 0 and 1 state. And of course, you can tell the gate how deep you want it to close, but that's a whole different conversation. So we can achieve the same effect by adding another LFO number 3, to the volumes of the oscillators A and B. So as I said, I want the gate to open and close, and I'm going to pick the intervals where the gate is going to be opened. Okay, I think it's too deep, so let's try to assign this again. Okay. Let's try make it. So actually I end up picking a quarter note rate because the drums hit on every bar. Let's play it again. Let's see. Let's exaggerate this. How can I? Okay, that's pretty reasonable. What we can further do is we can add a compressor to both of these tracks to have them glue together even more. So waves to a stereo limiter. Let's see what this is. It's hitting red. It's a lot of gain reduction. I don't want it to hit that hard. There we go. I want it to somewhere in between -3 and -5. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, so that was it, guys. That was the pad that we created for an electronic techno song, or for kind of a progressive kind of groove. And I know it's been kind of a long process, but I hope that you guys got something out of this process. I just wanted to go start to finish with as few cuts as possible, so you can get hold of the whole process that is happening inside my head. So that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for following. Remember, if you guys like the channel, please subscribe. It helps me a lot to see the number of subscribers growing. And that's about it for this week. Thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much, guys.